Okay, we're live. Yay! Finally. Hey, we're getting better though. Didn't take me as long to get set up this time. And I will apologize in advance. Seems like my internet connection's a little bit on the slow side tonight. So if we drop frames and the stream is terrible, I'm keeping an eye on the data rate here. Data and frame rate. And it looks like it's pretty terrible. So hopefully it's not. Or at some point, if it is, it'll get better. But we're going to continue on as if it's going to get better. And it's Taco Thursday, so I will be eating tacos here as well. My apologies, I did not bring enough for everyone. But if you want to take a minute to go make tacos or something of that nature, feel free. But I have not eaten since breakfast, and it is necessary. All right, let's do our usual stream sharing here. All right, let me get this shared out to our usual groups. Hopefully people will be able to join us. And again, like I said, the data rate won't stink too bad. Seems to be doing okay right now. Sorry, I've got a number of, as usual, a number of groups that we like to let know that we're out here. We have fans from many different groups and many different areas of the, not just the country, but the world. So we just like to keep everybody posted because we got a lot of cool stuff we're going to work on tonight. Mostly bear trap stuff, but it's all EVA foam and resin and other disciplines. This is a two-way street, so discussion group if you want to talk about things, if you got a build that you'd like to talk about, or if you have questions, of course, we're here to answer those questions. Sorry, I'm still doing the shares over here. If you didn't know, we have a group attached to this page. It's called Phone Club. That's really probably the best place to post up what you're working on and share it with us and the rest of the world. We always like to see that. Just go ahead, if you want to join the group, just go ahead and apply. We pretty much let everybody in, but yeah, so. Okay, almost done here, a couple more. I wish you could organize groups by like group. That'd be awesome. But we can't, not yet anyway. So this is our mid or late week stream. I think I told everybody that we were going to be doing this on Thursdays. Okay, here we go. Boom and boom. Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursday nights, and I think the time frame of 6 to 8 probably works best for everyone. So even when we're back to a normal normal schedule and situation. Hey, Rolando, how you doing? Yes, I have my tacos. Yay! I'm going to try and eat them tonight and just not talk the whole time. But anyway, so yeah, I feel that the 6 to 8 time frame is going to work best for everyone. Like I said, even when things get back to normal. So, and if it doesn't, if the majority let us know that they want it at a different time, then we'll do it at a different time. So Thursday nights, 6 to 8 Central Time, Chicago time, for those of you in the Midwest or elsewhere. And then Saturdays, we're going to do 2 streams. I tried 10 to 12, but it just wasn't enough time for me to get ready. I'm kind of a slow mover on a Saturday. So we moved that to 11 to 1. The morning stream will be 11 to 1, and then the afternoon stream, I think we settled on 4 to 6. Yeah, 4 to 6 on Saturdays in the afternoon. So 11 to 1, 3-hour break, and then 4 to 6. And matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I streamed pinned the post. Yes, I pinned the post on the Laughing Dragon Foundries homepage. It's right up there. Again, 11 to 1 on Saturdays and 4 to 6. And then Thursdays, 6 to 8. And for those of you who don't know, who missed my last stream and I was talking about it, we're on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. And soon we'll be on Twitter as well, via Periscope. All right, so first things first. I'm going to have another bite of taco, and then when I get done with that, we're going to cast some more bolts that we will be needing to put into our bear trap mask. These are the bolts that add the bolt detail. Hooray! All right. So let's go ahead and switch cameras. Down to the tabletop cam, our work area. I'm in the process of kind of reorganizing my work area, so it is a little bit messy. Saturday morning is probably when I'll do the bulk of my redecoration, if you will. So you might want to definitely show up for the Saturday morning stream, and definitely the Saturday afternoon stream, because we're going to be playing with some toys that are going to kind of enhance the mood a bit, if you will. So what have you been up to, Rolando? Haven't seen you in a while. No, you haven't seen me in a while either. Okay, while I take a bite of tacos, go ahead, talk. All right. Well, looks like my tacos have attracted some attention. I thought he wanted to say hi. Pulling up to the table there, it looked like he wanted to say hi, but I think he wanted a bite of my tacos. All right, so I'm going to grab a couple gloves here so we can get down to business with our casting. Saturday, I'm going to show you how to make a, we're going to create a mold out of Mold Star, which is the stuff that we use to create molds, like this one. We're going to create a mold for this piece here. So you'll definitely want to show up for that too. We need more of these, and the original mold is out of commission, so we're going to create a new mold so we can create more of these. And there's a reason why. Oh, you're on vacation. Nice. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's good to see people that that you've been out of touch with a while, with everything that's happening here. Obviously, with the crisis that is surrounding us. So yes, it is good to see that you're still out there and doing well. Batman Beyond. So you're doing the armored suit, I assume. And for all of you Ryobi fans, I know it's important that we Make sure that we use some Ryobi tools. Alright, so we got our 18 volt 1 plus air blower thing here that we're going to use to clean some of the shavings off of these pieces. There. Now we've used a Ryobi tool for those that are watching us from the Ryobi Rebels group. And there's other Ryobi tools. I mean, that's not all. We got our cordless heat gun. We have our cordless glue gun, which is very much a staple in my building adventures here. All right, so first things first, let's move this camera a little closer. We are going to mark off our cup. And then we're going to match it on this cup here. All right, blue and yellow. Because we got to mix up our resin and do some casting. Okay, I like to stick this in this glass here in case any resin runs out of the bottom of the mold. It doesn't happen often, but on the occasion that it does, we are prepared. All right, I'm going to need a cup to mix in, and my trusty mixing stick, which as you can see we've used before. Hooray. Shake up your resin really good, make sure it's mixed really well. Both parts. Alright. So we'll start with our yellow cup here. Doesn't take a lot. These aren't really, this mold isn't really big, so the resins that I work with are largely 50-50 by volume, not weight, so we don't have to weigh the resin, which is nice. Simplifies things a bit. Silicone. This is Mold Star 15, I think it is, if I remember correctly. I've got the buckets around here somewhere. If you're talking about this, yes, this is the Mold Star series from Smooth On, and I believe it's the Mold Star 15. This is Smoothcast 305 that we're using for the bolts. Because 65D is what I used to use, but it cured too quick in the mold and made a lot of air bubbles, and just yeah, this didn't work. So we're using the 305, which is a slower cure, not too much more slow, but or much of a slow, much more slowly, not too much more slowly or slower, not too much more slowing. Not that much slower. There we go. But slow enough where the cure doesn't get out of hand on us. Okay, So Strong liquid colorant, also from Smooth On. Pretty much all Smooth On products here for casting and whatnot. You know what? Looks like I need a little bit more yellow. Just another couple drops to bring that up to. Okay, how about 2 drops in the cup and 4 drops on the table? Excellent. Slower. It's not that much slower. Thanks, Rolanda. Keeping me honest here. All right, anyway, yes, and then I have some Task 15 that we're going to be trying out as well. And yeah, so we'll try that out at a later date and see how that goes, probably when we run out of 305. All right, so here's our colorant. Not too much, because again, this isn't a lot of resin. As I said before, I don't like to cast things in white, unless there's a reason to have a white base to it. But most of the stuff that I do is mechanical, or even the organic stuff that I cast. I like to have a base color that's, kind of a darker color, so if the paint ever wears off, you don't have to worry about it showing a stark white through a scratch or a paint lift. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to mix it here. Get the color mixed in through the resin first. I always like to do this in the blue, the material that comes in the blue canister, because it's a little more clearer. Clearly. Anyway, alright, I'm being a dork now. I do know proper English and grammar. Even a little bit of Spanish. Un poquito. No más. Alright, here we go. The reason I mix the colorant before I mix the two together is just to make sure I get a good dispersion of the through the resin, and then when I pour the resins together, it's all about mixing the two resins together and not so much getting a good dispersion of the color, especially with 65D, because you don't have much time working with that stuff. You gotta cruise before it starts to set up. This, a little more of a relaxed pace. Now, you're not gonna want to go, you know, bake a pizza or take the animals for a walk, but you definitely have a little bit more of a pot time on this. A little longer pot life. I think it's 10 minutes pot life, and then 30 minutes to cure, if I remember correctly, on the 305. 65D pot life is about 5 minutes, and if you figure you take a minute or so to mix the product, that doesn't give you a lot of working time. So make sure you get a good mix, scrape the edges off, get all the resin mixed up nice and evenly, and then grab your syringe, and we're going to, because these are skinny molds, I'm going to fill it about halfway. Because there's a bolt head on this too, I want to fill it about halfway, and then make sure I shake it, tap it down to get rid of any air bubbles. Anybody who's watched me cast before, you know I have pressure pots that I've used at times, but this works just as good for what we're doing. Alright. The silicone does not require a pressure pot. It's pretty good about letting the air bubbles escape. If I'm casting larger pieces, then I will use a pressure pot. Again, with a slower resin. 65D, fortunately, is a self-leveling resin, so you don't have to worry too much about air bubbles with that. They kind of find their way out. And if you do get air bubbles, they're typically not that bad. And again, the stuff cures so fast, 65D, that you don't really have a lot of time. You don't really have a lot of time to get it mixed in the mold in a pressure pot, tighten the lid down, you know, put it under pressure, and then the stuff's already setting. So it's like you don't have enough time for the air bubbles to work their way out anyway. So, all right, so you don't need to tap this forever. The resin will expand just a little bit, so you don't want to overfill it. Although if you do, it's no big deal. As you can see, I've already kind of gone overboard here, but I had a little extra resin, so, you know, sue me. No, don't. Okay, so there's that. Alright, we'll do our usual cleanup here. Make sure you wipe your rubber stopper off really well. Make sure it's nice and clean. Because that's the business end of the syringe. And if it isn't clean, it will eventually build up and then your syringe will be useless. I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to grab my cleaning cup here, pour a little alcohol in it, and then we'll use that to, actually I need that syringe plunger, because that's what we will use to draw the alcohol up into the syringe to clean it. So how are we doing out there, everybody? Is the video looking okay? We got a good frame rate here. All the data analytics here seem to be looking pretty good. All right. There we go. A little alcohol. Again, don't leave alcohol on the rubber on the syringe because it will eventually break it down. All right. Got a piece of copper wire that I run through the end of the tip of the syringe. That helps pull out any additional resin that might be lodged in there. And as much as possible, I like to clean out my mixing cups so we can reuse them. Waste not, want not, as they say. Alright, and now we're set up for the next batch. I'll leave the rubbing alcohol on the side because we will be doing another casting run. Just so everybody can see where we are on this. Here's one of my okay, yeah, you definitely want to show up on on Saturday then for our Saturday stream, because I don't know if you caught it earlier, but we will be making a mold with the Mold Star to cast a bunch of these, and that's kind of a precursor to what's coming. So we'll talk more about this on Saturday. So again, this is the jaw, the business end of the reverse bear trap. We've got our bolts on one side, as you can see, and now we're going to put bolts on the other side because we have more bolts that we can use. Hooray! Let's get her done. And after a bite of taco, of course. Got my handy dandy chalk pencil. Michael, Saturday morning, Central Time. The first stream, we're doing two streams, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. The one in the morning will be from 11 to 1 Central Time, Chicago time. The one in the afternoon will be 4 to 6. Plug for the Laughing Dragon Foundries page. If you go out to the Laughing Dragon Foundries page, obviously you will know because we announce it there when we're streaming. And also there's a pinned post at the top that shows our all of our channels, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and soon to be Twitter, where we'll be streaming at. So everything is right there. All right, so let's draw some reference marks where our bolts go here. Basically, it's in the middle of the dip here. All the way around. I'm going to put 5 more bolts on top here. I'm going to turn my hot glue on because we will be needing that. Boom. All right, and then we're gonna draw some reference marks in here where the bolts will land after they come through the top. Boom. That's where that goes. Another bite of taco. Pull the camera a little closer. Working over a trash can here. We're going to get our holes going here. Top first, so we'll just open these up a little bit. Alright, careful, that Dremel tool will take off skin, as you saw right there. Now, I've got another bit here I want to use to create our indents for the bolts, where they come down into the center of the jaw. Basically, this is the bit that we're going to use. Come from the top down here. And now we need to get another battery. Always a good idea when you're working with these cordless tools to have a backup battery on hand, because just when you least expect it and when you most need it is when they go dead. Again, I'm just making an indent here, not drilling all the way through the foam. Just a place for the bolt to land when we glue it in. Alright. Thank you, Mr. Trash Can. We don't need you right now. Move our camera back here. Now we grab our bolts. We need 5. So let's go ahead and grab 5 of these babies. And I use a PVC cutter, very handy for clipping the ends off. You could use, there's other things that you could use, side cutters, bolt cutters, if you really want to, get dual. These are resin bolts. I don't think they need that much force, but to each his own. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is clean up the end here. Got a little bit of flashing from the mold on the end. Alright, so there's that. Now, I'm going to stick this through our first hole right over here on the end, like so. Take it all the way down to the indent, and then I'm going to note how much room we've got left here on the end sticking out. That's how much I need to trim off the end of this bolt to make it fit properly. So, I'm just going to mark it right here at the top, right there. I just marked it right where it touches the foam. And then we'll cut that much off of the end. So let's grab our stainless steel ruler here. And looks like we need to cut, looks like about 20 millimeters off the end. So I will grab my pencil again, and we will mark 20 millimeters right there. And there we go. Push that back through the hole into the indent. And as you can see,
did you have enough?
Yeah, still working on it. As you can see, it is right where we want it to go. All we need to do now is glue it in place. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and set up these other bolts. Okay. Alright, into the indent. Mark it off at the top. Measure. Looks to be about the same, about 20, 21 millimeters. Okay. Clip the end off of that one. There we go. There's our second bolt. As I build this, I'm going to leave the bolts in there so I don't accidentally mix up which one goes where, because they're not all going to trim exactly the same length. And I'm pretty good at eyeballing, so I'm just going to trim off. I'm going to eyeball it and trim off what I think it needs. There we go. 2 more to go, and then we'll glue them in. And these longer ones I'll probably measure, just to be sure. Yeah, about the same. We got lucky. 20 millimeters on most of these. If I could go back in time, we could just, trim them all at once and be done. But I haven't perfected time travel just yet, so I guess we'll do it the old-fashioned way, one at a time. Excuse me. All right. All right, that one's a little longer. About 22, 23 millimeters. And there we go. Actually, you could probably take just a little. As I've said before, always make sure when you're doing this that you trim it. If you're not entirely sure, it's better to trim it a little long than short, because you can always cut more off. You can't add more on. So there we go. Mr. Lane, hey, meant to text you last night. I'm working on the sketches for our new stuff. I think you're going to like what I've come up with. I'll be getting those to you probably, if not before, definitely by this weekend. If you heard that. You're still there. People pop in and check us out for a few minutes and they go somewhere else. Hey, the lights are blinking, which means my battery-powered lights are running low on battery. And that's okay. We have more batteries on charge. Also, Ryobi products. So they're string lights for all you Ryobi fans out there. Okay, so we have cut our bolts to length. We are now going to pop these babies out just a little bit and glue them in place. Okay, I'm going to hold it in there just a little bit. I'll take a bite of taco while I wait. A little more glue on our next one. And I'm going to put a dot of glue behind it here. Yes, thank you, Adam. Adam heads up Dark Creations ATX. Adam, go ahead and type the name of your page in there if people want to check it out. We're streaming this to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, so multiple sources. But they do a lot of things in the horror and thriller genre. And Adam and I started talking about 6 months or so ago, maybe a little bit longer. I can't keep track of time. And started working. Actually, he was the one that we built the first bear trap. I designed the templates for him, and he commissioned us for our first bear trap. And since then, we have collaborated on a few other items, some of which we are going to actually be showing off here this weekend. And I will be taking you through a build of at least one of those pieces and talking technique on the other ones. And we'll be offering them on our Etsy store too. Again, a collaborative effort between LDF and Dark Creations. Very fun stuff. Definitely a step away from the usual superhero stuff that I've done in the past. But very exciting. A lot of fun. Opportunity to explore and express some different techniques and methods of doing things, finishing and building, and one of the actually the last two pieces that we worked on are one's an organic piece and one is a more of a mechanical piece. There we go. But yeah, like I said, just a lot of fun. A lot of, and again, if anybody that works and plays in this space knows that it's that sometimes it's problem solving, coming up with solutions to creative solutions to make whatever your vision is or whatever it is you're trying to do happen, and stretching yourself in ways, doing new types of builds and new types of projects is always a good thing. Okay, 2 more bolts and our jaw will be pretty much done. As you can see, the bolts really add a certain a certain scariness, certain I don't know how to describe it really. Certain disturbed feeling to it. I actually had somebody ask me once if the finished one that we showed when we were done. They asked if it actually worked, and I'm like, no, it's pretty much all foam. And just the fact that you're asking if it really works is a little bit concerning on some levels. All right. So, there we go. We have finished our jaw for the bear trap mask. We've got our bolts in there. We've got our hot glue along the edges to simulate weld joints. I know right now it looks like a mess of hot glue in the creases, but when you paint it, it will take on the persona of a hastily done welding job. Again, this is if you've seen the movie, it's kind of a crude prop, so it's not meant to look like it's you know, like an Iron Man suit, a finished, unless you're talking about the Mark I. All right, so let's set that jaw aside. We won't do the exact same thing this time. As you remember, if you were here for our last video, these are our gear blanks. Started out as cylinders, discs. We beveled the edges on the belt sander, which is not in the house, so obviously you couldn't see that step. But then we did on camera go ahead and finish with our Dremel tool, creating the detail that makes this look more gear-like, and then put our bolts through it and our gear retaining washer on the outside. And yeah, so this will go on the side of the mask to continue the illusion. Alright, so what can we do next? Well, I think what we should do next is we should work on the band that goes around the head, and then the one that goes over the head. So, let's grab our envelope, which has all of our patterns in it, and templates. And fortunately I did write down some details here of lengths, and really helpful to take these notes when you're doing your builds. Let me hold it up here, because these notes will help you later. You know, I build multiples of these at times, so I'm pretty familiar with, hey, there went our lights. We'll fix that in a second. I'm pretty familiar with the sizes and whatnot, but even if I go, you know, a couple months without building one, and then somebody's like, hey, I want a bear trap, I'm like, oh man, how long was that headband, or how many sections did I cut the band that goes over the head into? So it's good to jot that stuff down, and that's what we did. So now we can move that much more quickly into creation and not wasting a lot of time trying to remember how big or long things need to be. Alright, so let's grab some of our 10mm foam, which is what we will use to create this, let's call it the horizontal band. That's the first one we're going to create. So the length of that is 19 inches. Let's see what we got here. Oh, 18, just a little short. Well, so we'll have to go diagonally. That's okay. There's a lot of pieces we can cut out of these. So it's the band width is 2.5 inches, and around the neck it's 19, or around the head, I should say. Actually, let me see if I've got another piece of scrap foam back here that has the right length already. Give me 1 second. I think we may have lucked out. Unfortunately, we've only got enough for one. Let me see if it's wide enough. And it is. It's definitely long enough. All right, we'll come back to this piece for our over the headband. True edge here. All right. And we do. Good. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is measure off. So it needs to be 2.5 wide. We'll measure down here 2.5 inches. Okay. And then 19. All right, we need to go just a little bit further. And make sure it's square with the end. And it is. All right. So there is our 2.5 inches wide. Now we're going to measure out 19 inches to get the length. There's 18 plus 1. Alright, there's our 19. Once again, we'll make sure that we're nice and square here. Excellent. Grab our utility knife here, make sure we got a nice sharp edge to it. And let's cut this piece of foam out. Alright, so there's that. Set that aside. So this is what we will use to create our band around the head. One thing that we need that I didn't put into this, so we'll just cut a little extra off the end here, is a little bit of a slant on each end. So when it glues into the headband, or the jaw up front here, it's already kind of on its way around to make the circle that the headband needs to be. Alright, so there we go. A little bit of glue, contact cement. Alright, we'll let that set up a little bit. Take another bite of taco. Another bite of taco. That was a big bite. Alright, so I'm not sure here if we've got enough No, it's not long enough over here. So it looks like we'll have to go this direction. All right. So we're going to create another section. This will be the part that goes over the top of the head. But we have to cut at an angle because unfortunately, well, you know what? You know what? Let's go with this. Gosh, I hate to cut into that because that's a nice piece of foam over there. Let's go this way. Let's go with my original idea here. All right, so I'm going to draw a reference line here right out of the gate. Just to kind of get us started. All right, now this has to be 2.5 inches wide as well. So I'm going to find, looks like we can start right about there. All right, and I'll just draw a reference line across there so we know approximately where we're going with this. And then 18 is going to come up to about there. All right, now we'll draw in another reference points for 2.5 inches. Looks like we need to go just a little bit further. There we go. All right, let's draw this line down here. All right, we'll go ahead and cut that out. And then take our over the head piece from this length of foam here. So there's that. And then cut the side here. All right, now that's not too square, is it? I thought it was, but it's off just a little bit. So let's go ahead and redo that. Okay. Now this piece needs to be 22 inches long. And guess what? It's not. Fortunately, with the other one that we're building, we're going to need another 19-inch piece anyway, so we'll just go ahead and make this 19-inch piece for that. And then we will create another piece at 22 inches. How about that? We are problem solvers. Like they say. Measure once, cut twice, right? Kidding. Just kidding, folks. That's not what they say. And if they do, don't listen to them, because they don't know what they're talking about. Alright. Well, we are ready to stick this piece of foam to that piece of foam. Little roll here. Little roll going. Just going to roll it, because this is the part that goes around our head, like that. Got a little bit of glue left on here that's a little wet, because we put it on a little too thick, so I'm going to let that dry another second. While we wait, I'm going to see if we have an area here that we can cut a 22-inch length of foam out of. And I think that would have to be right here. There's 18. Looks like we can just get 22 inches here. Excellent. Then that's what we'll do. Let's measure our 2.5 increments. I guess it would help if you could see. There we go. Okay. Better be careful, I'll push my laptop off onto the floor, and then the show will be over. Alright, so there is our bit of stock that we're going to cut our 22-inch piece out of. Boom. And now, we need 22 inches. Let's see what we got here. There's 18. Cross your fingers. And we did it. We got 22. Yay. There we go. This is the part that goes over your head, like that. All right. Back to our mid headband, or the horizontal band. Let's attach it to the jaw. Make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, there's that. We got one side attached. And now let's flip it over and do the other side. Alright, so let's go to the face camera here and you'll see that we have successfully created the part that goes around our head. Yay! This is the band that will get most of our detail, like the timer, the battery box, the gears on the side, and all that. So yeah, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to the band that goes over the top of the head, because that one is a little bit different. All right, so this one goes over the top of the head like this, all right? But this one is also segmented. It's cut into, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 7 pieces. Yeah. And then that gives it the more of, again, the crude assembled look. This would work, but it would just look a little too smooth. And for those of you who haven't seen it before, let me show you what it is that we're doing. All right, bear with me here. So there is what we're building, okay, for those of you who have not seen it before. So you can kind of see over the top of the head here, it's broken up into segments, which again, like I said, kind of adds to that crude, assembled, built out of whatever scraps Jigsaw had lying around look. All right, so there you go. Back to the build. All right, so we know that's where it goes. Now we need to do a little bit of math here. So the head, the over the headband has 5 sections across the top. Each section is 2.5 inches wide. So the first thing we need to do is find our center. Now if I remember correctly, it was 22 inches, which we're still there, so we need to go 11 inches to get to the center, and then we'll work from there. So there we go. And if you have one of these build mats, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's all kinds of grids and lines across here that are perfectly square with each other. So what you do is you line up the bottom of your piece here with one of these lines, and then your mark, if you want to make it square, line it up with one of the vertical lines, and then just lay your ruler across it, eyeball down the ruler, make sure it's in line with the line, and then when you draw your cut line, it'll be nice and square, top to bottom. So 2.5 inches for each segment. So measure the first either side of our line. So let's go ahead and mark that. Total length comes to 2.5. We'll draw our lines here, get that all squared up. Okay, now from here it's pretty simple. We'll draw an X on that so we don't do an accidental cut on that one. From here we just want to do 2 more 2.5 inch segments on either side. So I'll just measure from our center line, or our center segment I should say. Okay, so there's 2 on that side, and then 2 on this side. We'll square it up with our mat to make sure our lines are at least as perfectly vertical as we can make them. All right, and the 2 over here. All right, now sharpen up our knife nice and sharp. Probably grab another bite of taco here. Yep. Sorry. Smaller bites, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to number our segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm just going to draw a 1 and a 5 here too, so I know which pieces these end pieces butt up next to. The reason I did that is because we're going to do some creative cutting here to get the segmented look on our headband. Basically, we're going to make mountain cuts on either side of this piece, but very slight, so when we glue it together, it'll be at an angle rather than just a straight piece of foam. Okay, so I'm just going to lean my blade in a little bit on this first cut. So you're left with a cut that looks a little bit like that. See how it leans in a little bit? Alright, now because this piece butts up to that piece, I want to cut a piece out of this one at the same angle, so when I glue them together, it'll create that angle that we're looking for. So, I'll take my ruler, put it right up next to the edge, turn your knife at a slight angle, nothing too dramatic, make sure the fingers are out of the way, and that's all you're going to take out from between those two pieces, just this little wedge. Alright, put this aside in case you get it a little too deep. You can use that wedge to fill in from the back side. Now, when we glue these together, that's the angle that we'll get. Alright, all the way around. So we're going to do that a few more times to the rest of our pieces here. Again, just a slight angle, because those angles add up pretty quickly. If you get too crazy, then your angles will be too steep and it won't look right when you glue it together. Again, very, very small wedge. Same thing here. Keep that blade sharp, especially when you're cutting these small segments. If your blade drags at any point, it'll mess up your foam. You don't want that. Key to a good looking build is good clean cuts and contact cement. Alright, once again, that's the segment. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do that down the other side. And again, I've numbered these so we know what sequence they go back together. In case something happens that I should accidentally move the pieces and lose track of what goes where. Okay. And there we go. All right. So we have our foam segments all cut out for our vertical headband. And now we're just going to hit them with some glue and put them all together, and then you'll see the effect when we get it all together. Okay. Last couple pieces here. I just realized that my chat monitor went down, so I don't know if anybody's talking to me. If you are, I apologize. We'll get that back up and running here. Bear with me. There we go. We're back. Looks like we didn't miss a thing. That's good. All right. So as soon as these things dry, we'll be able to stick them together and then attach them to our bear trap in progress. This baby right here. So, just a PSA right now. You saw me cut these wedges out from between all of our pieces, and I try not to save everything, but these things make great fillers. These little pieces, little wedges. So, like if you glue something together, let's say you make a cut. Hold on, let me switch cameras here so I can. We don't need to see the table. So if I cut a couple of pieces and the cut is too, so I try to show this camera. If your cut is too wide and you've got this gap on the back end like this, then what you can do is you can take these little wedges, contact cement or hot glue, whatever your preference is, and stick them right in there as you glue this together. and make up for a cut that maybe you were just a little bit too aggressive with, making the cut a little bit more of an angle than you needed it to be. So, save them or not, I like to keep them over here on the side in a little cup for a rainy day. Alright, I lie. It's not really a rainy day. It's any kind of day, whenever you need them. Alright, so I'm going to put the camera back down on the table here. There we go. Grab another bite of taco. Not as big as last time. Good taco. We're waiting for these pieces to dry. While we're doing that, let's check our mold. Because if you remember, these bolts that we use on the bear trap mask are in this mold. And we cast some more earlier. Let's check and see if they're ready to come out. They should be. I know the resin has cured to a certain point, but I also know that this resin, even when cured, is a little bit soft, and sometimes needs a little bit more time to cure, especially when it's humid. You're in a humid environment, yeah, it's still a little bit flexible. And ordinarily I would go ahead and pull it out of there. Let's give it a shot. If we break one, it's no big deal, right? All the way down to the bottom. There we go. Yeah, it's a little bent. Fortunately, that'll straighten up with just a little bit of pressure. So we'll let that cure a little bit more, but there you go. There's a bolt fresh out of the mold with the acorn head. A little slippery on top there. So we'll just set that aside with the rubber bands. And we got about another half hour to go. So I think this should be dry in just enough time for us to stick this together and then stick it to our mask in progress here, so you can see where this goes and how it all goes together. It'd be great. It'd be awesome. So a quick PSA. We have a Facebook page. Let me jump cameras here. We have a Facebook page, Laughing Dragon Foundries. We have a we also have a group called Foam Club that is attached to the Facebook page for Laughing Dragon Foundries. The Facebook page is kind of where we show off. The Foam Club is where you guys show off, and we'd love to see what you're working on. Obviously, at the same time, if you have anything that you're struggling with in terms of discipline, or just want some critique or feedback on a piece, a lot of people in the group are very very helpful and very contributory of their time. We also have a YouTube channel where we do more planned, edited type videos, as well as these live streams. So if you want to watch the live stream again, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then we are also on Twitch. So we're trying to cover all the bases, if you will. Okay, we're almost dry here. Actually, some of these pieces are dry. Let's go back to the table and put the pieces together that are ready to be stuck together, which looks like actually the majority of them. Good. All right, I'm going to start from the center. See? I almost got out of sequence with my pieces here. Good thing I numbered them. All right, so here's the first one. I'm just going to line up the edges a little bit on the top, like that, and then just fold it down. Now, you remember that little wedge we took out? See? That's the look that we created by doing that. Isn't that cool? Alright, let's glue in number 4 here. Kaboom. And again, you're not going to get a huge deviation between the pieces, you know, or a big angle, but it adds up as you get further down the line here. With each successive angle, we turn the corner just a little bit. And you're better off cutting too little of a wedge out of here than too much, because if it's too much and you have to open this thing up to attach it to your mask, it'll create little divots here between your pieces. Whereas if you didn't do enough, you can bend it a little bit this way and get by with it. That divot obviously won't show up because you're bending it the other way. Alright, here we go. Push the seams together really good. Make sure you get a good bond. Alright, over to this side. Blowing on it helps. Not really. Alright, this one's still a little wet like the last piece was, so we'll just wipe off that excess glue. And attach our final piece here. And now I'm going to jump cameras in there so you can see what we got. See there? A nice segmented piece that looks like it was made from several pieces rather than one continuous piece of metal. Just like the one in the movies. Isn't that amazing? I think so. Now, when we attach it to the rest of the contraption that we're building here, you'll see this is what we get. And we're starting to get that reverse bear trap mask look. Isn't that cool? Isn't it really amazing what you can do with just a couple of different types of materials and some strategic cuts, and you know, really awesome. All right, enough pontificating. Let's glue this baby together. Going back to the table. Another bite of taco. All right. I have these pieces that I have the templates for that I've already cut out, and they're fillers that go in between. They go in between the horizontal and the vertical headband. So I'm just going to use this as a gauge to line up right where this goes. But it's about an inch back from the edge of the jaw, as you can see right there. All right. Now that I have that lined up, I'll just take my chalk pencil, make sure it's perpendicular. Both of these bands are perpendicular to each other, and mark where they go. And I happen to have one for the left side too. I could eyeball this, but for the sake of you viewers, I'm going to go ahead and do it like I should with the piece that I cut to go in there. Actually, our glue was not 100% cured here, so it's coming apart a little bit. All right, where's the left one? Right there. And that goes there, which we will mark. Now, before we commit to glue, I'm going to go ahead and line this back up again on the other side, and then just eyeball it and make sure everything looks nice and even and square. And as you can see, so we're good. I'm also going to mark the inside of my vertical headband. And I'm going to do one more thing. After I get this marked, we're get this all lined up, and then I'm going to put it on. Just kind of a last check to make sure that it is to the proper size, and as you can see, it is. All right. Now, fortunately, if your head's a little smaller or a little shorter, you can pad it with foam, but it's harder to add length than it is to accommodate a smaller head. You want this jaw to come just below your nose. See that? Sits right below my nose. So, that's good. Let's glue this baby together. And for that, we'll need glue. Go ahead and do both sides. All right, so there's that. Let's go ahead and get glue on our other piece, on our vertical strap. All right, we'll let that dry just a little bit. So this is the major componentry. All right, one last bite of taco. Boom, baby. All right. I know you shouldn't talk with your mouth full, but that was the right size of bite right there. I can talk around it, it's not too big, like the last two, but unlike the last two bites that I took. All right, so once you get these components finished and glued together, that pretty much sets the structure or the framework for building out the rest of your mask, quite frankly. All the other pieces are cut out, shaped, you know, and now it's pretty much just, I mean, there will be a little bit of tweaking, a little bit more cutting and creating things as you go, and trimming, but from here on out, it's pretty much just assembly. Not to oversimplify it, of course, and we will be going through this together, but it's, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, the really hard part is at this point is done. All right, so or how about the hardest part? Maybe that's it. The hardest part is done. Getting this all this lined up and looking like this is, in my opinion, probably some of the more difficult challenges of building this. Yeah, because this is kind of the focal piece. You know, this is the first thing that everybody sees. So of course you want this to be, you know, as perfect as possible. So, all right. Kind of like the helmet and the arc reactor on an Iron Man suit. That's usually the first two things that everybody looks at. Everything else is kind of secondary after that. But you nail those two pieces, the rest of your suit can be mediocre. And everybody's just like, oh, it's so amazing. A lot of fun. All right. And this is where the gears go. I think I told you that earlier. Don't need to tell you again. Just killing time here while we're waiting for this glue to dry. Since all of the pieces are already cut out. Now, once we get this attached to the rest of the structure, I will actually, one of the last things I'll do is put a thin, like a 1 millimeter piece of foam over top of this. I don't really have to, but I don't know. I just kind of like the way it looks. Although now that I think about it, it's probably better if I don't and just do the glue seams here, which again reinforces the whole welded look. I think that's what we'll do. All right, how are we doing here? Getting close, getting real close. We're just about ready to put this together. All right. You can see the glue's still a little bit shiny in a couple of places. So you want to wait. You want to wait until that gets matte, kind of a matte finish like everything else around it. And it's not even really too tacky to the touch. Same thing here. You can see there's still just a little bit of wet glue there. The problem is if you stick it together prematurely, it won't make a good bond. So you want to leave it out here in the air, let it dry before you try and stick it together. And if you do wait, you'll be rewarded with a much stronger bond. Okay. So I think it's looking pretty good. Still a little damp. If you want to speed things up, I know people have said that you could take a heat gun, hit it with a little bit of heat. I personally don't do that. I typically have a lot of projects lined up where I'm, jumping from, from project to project. But in this particular case, I don't. Like I said, we're pretty much at the assembly stage. Actually, I have another one that we're working on, so we could be going ahead and putting the bolts and stuff in this one, but I think we'll save that for next time. All right, that's looking pretty good. I think we're ready. Yep, looking pretty dry here. All right, so it's pretty simple. We're just again going to carefully line up the bottom. Make sure it's in the proper place and that it's square before we commit. There's that one. And that one. Looking good. Let's go ahead and nail it down. Okay, let's jump cameras here. Full camera, and you can see we've got a pretty good start here to our foundational mask. And then, like I said, everything else now becomes a matter of doubling things up, creating the timer, gluing that to the back. Here's our gear blocks. Yep, that's a gear block that'll sit here. And then we'll attach our gears here on the side. That'll go through there. And yeah, so there you go. I know we're a little bit early tonight, but it's better than being late. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream this evening. We will be back here and work towards completing both of these bear traps on Saturday. Again, our next stream will be Saturday morning from 11 to 1 in the afternoon, and then we'll do a second stream from 4 to 6 Saturday afternoon into the evening. So, as always, if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to weigh in. We do like to help out in any way that we can, share the knowledge that we've gained. And subscribe, like, share, follow, and we'll see you all on Saturday. In the meantime, where is it? I got my little sign off here. Keep your glue hot and your hose high, and we'll see you next time.